Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stuart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And on this segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to say that we finally have attorney John Schaefer, owner of the law firm of John F. Schaefer, and he's calling in all the way from Detroit, Michigan. Now, John, who is considered to be somewhat of a leader in the area of family law, will be talking to you today about a very interesting topic. See, John has taken the time out of his busy day to come and speak to us about the financial ramifications of divorce. So, if you are one of the increasing amounts of people being affected by divorce in the Detroit, Michigan area, you might want to pick up a notepad and pen and take some notes as we listen in to what John has to share with you today. So with that said, he's a very busy man. Let's not keep him waiting any longer. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you, Stuart. Pleasure to be here.
You're so welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you here as well, John. So, in your own words, John, briefly describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they come to you for your help.
Well, first of all, Stuart, I handle what would be regarded as complex matrimonial matters. That suggests large estates, I suspect. Oftentimes, people who find themselves in a divorce proceeding under those circumstances are oftentimes very distressed and distraught, and oftentimes, in the case of women, very frightened.
Okay, so now that we know who you help, then, John, before we go any further, it must be said that anything you share with us today is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of sharing information. Can we both agree on that then, John?
Yes, certainly we want to agree upon that. I don't wish to give legal advice to anybody other than my own clients.
Okay, so fantastic. So when you think about those people who do come to you for your help, John, what's the most common misconception they have surrounding the topic of the financial ramifications of divorce?
The most common misconception is that people, even in very, very substantial economic circumstances, think they can do it themselves, and think that somehow or other they're going to be able to miraculously make a deal with their spouse. That is absolutely a wrong thinking, because they don't frankly have the skill set to do it. Often our cases involve serious tax and valuation questions that are highly sophisticated. And also there are many discovery questions, such as what assets are there, where are they, what are they worth? And I don't care how educated the person is, typically they are not capable of being able to ferret out the answers to those questions. But the most common misconception surrounding that is that the advice we are giving is self-serving. That is, when they say, is there some way I can do this myself? And you say, no, you really can't, and here's why. And then you go through a litany of why. They feel it's self-serving because the lawyer will benefit from having them have to use a lawyer rather than do it themselves. I suppose in a 6-month marriage with you have an apartment full of furniture and a beat-up Volkswagen, yes, you can do it yourself. But in matters of long-standing marriages involving millions and millions of dollars, you cannot do it yourself. And it's very important, in fact, it's critical, that the lawyer and the client are in sync with each other and are strictly confidential with each other.
So, Jordan, based on what you just shared with us, and obviously keeping your clients' confidentiality in mind, please share an example or a case study, so to speak, of how you've helped or how you would go about helping somebody who came to you with those challenges, that misconception that you just described, the people who think that they can do it themselves, and describe what kinds of transformational results you were able to gain or would be able to gain for them.
Well, I think I can probably state an example in the negative better than in the positive, because there was an occasion, within the past 10 years, when a client came to see me, and she said that she wanted to be protected, and I said she needed to be protected because they had very, very significant liquidity, that is in excess of $20 million of liquidity, and her husband had often threatened to leave the country and get beyond the courts of the United States in terms of extraditing him from someplace else. And so I explained to her the importance of filing an action for divorce and obtaining an injunctive order restraining him from transferring any assets and serving that on the financial institutions that they used. She said no, she wanted to go home and talk to him, and she wanted to alert him to her concerns and wanted to try to do it herself. And she felt that I was being dramatic in my assessment. Well, she went home and discussed things with him, and he assured her that he would take good care of her and would do the right thing by her. And before the week was over, he was gone. And he was not only gone from the United States beyond the extradition of him, but he was also gone with all the money, which of course was his money, so it wasn't really theft. And he was not violative of any court order because we hadn't filed a suit. And therefore, he wasn't guilty of anything other than he took his money and left the country. Now, he might have been guilty of some federal rule that you can't take more than $10,000 out of the country with you. But other than that, that was his only error.
So the few $1,000s she tried to save ended up costing her so much more in the end, right?
It cost her everything. She was left with virtually nothing.
Well, that's a great case study to share with us, John. I'm really thankful for that. So just as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is attorney John F. Schaefer. He's calling in all the way from Detroit, Michigan, and today's topic is the financial ramifications of divorce. Now then, John, with that in mind, and for those people who are out there right now and they're wanting to know even more, please share one common but unknown pitfall that they need to avoid regardless of what situation they find themselves in.
I think the common pitfall is that they have to maintain a confidence with their lawyer and only their lawyer. People want to talk about these things with their friends and companions and want to discuss things with their spouses, when in fact what they really have to do is find a competent attorney and discuss the matter with him and only him, and then move forward from there. That is the common pitfall.
So, yeah, let's say they don't do that then, John. What could be some of the ramifications of not doing that?
Well, the risks are, as I just suggested, that people will abscond with the money if the course of action is disclosed, and they will alter their financial circumstances and alter their condition of the investments they have.
So, John, you have me curious. How many years have you been a practicing attorney? Just very briefly, how many years?
More than 40 years.
Okay, so in those 40 plus years of being a practicing attorney, what's most important to you when it comes to helping your clients to achieve their desired outcomes?
Most important to me is establishing a relationship with the client so that we each have confidence in the other and trust the other. Because if you don't trust your lawyer in this kind of a situation, you shouldn't have him. You ought to have somebody else.
So, John, could you just spend a brief moment telling us a little bit about your background, your formal education, as well as your experience as it relates to the topic of family law?
Well, I was educated at Cranbrook School in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I then attended the University of Notre Dame. Then I attended Michigan State University and finally the Detroit College of Law. And I've been an adjunct professor at the Detroit College of Law for more than 30 years. And I have also lectured to judges and lawyers throughout the state. I've handled complex matrimonial matters all over the world, including Dart versus Dart in England and cases in New York, Florida, California, Illinois, Las Vegas, Nevada, Colorado. So I've had very significant divorce cases of notoriety over many years.
So, John, as you consider the kinds of people who come to you for your help and wanting to know a little bit more about the financial ramifications of their individual divorce proceedings, what final thoughts would you like to impart with them before we finish up with our last question for today?
I would just simply say to select a lawyer with great care, be referred by somebody rather than some advertising, which is a very common thing these days, rather than getting a referral from people who have actually dealt with the lawyer. Make sure your matter is kept confidential and private and share it only with your lawyer.
So, John, if somebody feels they want to know more about the financial ramifications of divorce and anything else that you can help them with, what's the easiest way for them to connect with you?
My telephone number, which rings in all of my offices. I have offices in Birmingham, Michigan, Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and Harbor Springs, Michigan. My telephone number is 248-642-6655. That's 248-642-6655. And my email is my initials, JFS, and then at the initials for law firm John F. Schaefer, that is lfjfs.com.
John, we are out of time. I wish I could just sit here and shoot the breeze with you, because I just got a feeling that we've only began to touch the tip of the iceberg, especially with your 40 plus years experience of being a practicing attorney. However, like I said, we are out of time. So, yeah, again, as a reminder, we've been listening to John F. Schaefer. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, John. You have certainly demonstrated that you're a true educator and advocate for your client's success. So thank you, John.
Thank you, Stuart. It's indeed my pleasure to have been part of your show.
You are so welcome. I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, you, the listener. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. We wouldn't have anybody to talk to. So thank you for joining us on this very insightful and informative discussion with what I can only describe as one of the top attorneys in the Detroit, Michigan area today. Again, his name is John F. Schaefer. Remember his name. Make sure you do check him out. Give him a call. Send him an email. Visit his website. Whatever you do decide to do, I'm sure after listening to some very brief insights from John today, I know he's just got so much more in the tank to share. That if you start with John, you're going to be in a great place to get started. So that's it for today, folks. Again, my name is Stuart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading family law professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.